Dustin Watten, USA Libero World Championship medalist, played professionally in 5 countries. But what happens on the court is only part of the story. Plant-based athlete, mentor, disciple of stoicism, speaker, documentary star, evidence that the journey is more important than the destination. We called to check in, and he took us on the journey with him.
I can't decide whether that looks delicious or not. I think you two are going to gang up on me here. What's in it?
Matcha. A little matcha, a little oat milk, and a little maple syrup. Actually, the founders of this company were indoor volleyball players. One of them was playing on the beach tour in the AVP and just decided to start making a matcha company. So he got me hooked on it. So I love it. I like most athletes, I love a good caffeine rush, but this has L-theanine, so it kind of cools and calms the nervous system rather than this explosion and down. So
do you like it also for the taste, or is it an acquired taste?
It can definitely be an acquired taste. If you put maple syrup in it, it'll taste great.
Sweeten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to talk about volleyball at some point.
No.
Oh, come on, Key. Don't do this to me.
All I want to talk about is making movies and drinking matcha. And
Well, we'll get to that. But you mentioned Poland there. Any news? Will you be returning next year, or have you got a club? Is that at the forefront of your mind right now?
Yeah. So a lot of drama. This is like I guess I've had a couple of run-ins with a little drama. But I don't know. I mean, I have a great agent. I work with Nise in Finland and Michel brothers in Poland, and so just full trust into them. I think there will be a solution. It's not final, but I don't know. I'm not too worried. Where I think a lot of the years I've really clinged on to things that aren't in my control, contracts, where I'm going to play. Just clinging on to it, and this clinging breeds suffering, right? And so luckily I'm in a good place here in Hawaii with my friend. And so it's just like, if I don't get a contract, I'm going to be fine. Like, I had one of my best years as a pro. And so if I don't get the contract, I'll get picked up. And if I don't get picked up for whatever reason, I'll find the beauty of it somehow. But I do believe it will work out. So we'll see.
what a great answer.
But
as far as that, I'm really curious, and you've been public about this on your Instagram, so I know it has been a bit of drama. But how could they? So they signed you, and then they just decided they've changed their mind, but it was contractual, or how did they?
Yeah, I signed a 2-year contract last year, and I don't want to say anything rude. I'm the president. He's the overarching president of volleyball, football, and hockey. And he's just trying to do his best to save money, cut money. It seems, I'm speaking with my agent and lawyers, it seems what he did was not legal. And so if they don't want to renegotiate, then we can go to the court and get both contracts. So I would like to earn my money. I would like to still represent the fans of Katowice. And if you watch Polish volleyball, not just that, but the fans of Polish volleyball, because they support every team. And of course, my teammates, we did something really special last year. All of the guys on our team, really none of them were starters in the Plus League the year before. All of them were like third middles, third outsides. Me and the setter didn't even play in Poland. And we did something really amazing, got 6th place. And so it was just a great feeling. It was one of those teams where the coach would be like, all right, practice is over. You guys can go home. If you want to stay, the whole team stays. And it's just like, wow. And so I also want to come back for those guys. Those guys are my brothers. And to get one more season, because this year it's going to be even crazier, because a lot of the talent from Brazil, from Argentina, from Italy are going to Poland. And our team didn't really reload. We're losing our best player. And so it's going to be even harder. But I think this challenge is something I want to be in. Or once again, it's going to be the group of us rather than just individual players on the court. And we just really believe in each other, believe in ourselves, and we all understand the hard work that you have to put in Monday through Friday when no one's looking.
So you mentioning the fans there, from a professional perspective and from a personal perspective, it must be really nice that people are interested in whether or not you're coming back to Poland, and people want you to come back to Poland. That must be a nice thing to experience.
Yeah, it is. It does really feel nice. I love stoicism. One of the things I like about a lot is dichotomy control. Some things that are completely up to us, some things aren't. My reputation isn't up to me, right? We can say in the volleyball court with like coaches making decisions on rosters, you can even be like the best player, but maybe they want to take a younger player, develop them. Or when I'm speaking to kids, I talk about relationships, right? You can be the most loving, gentle, compassionate, trustworthy boyfriend, but you know what? You can't control how that person perceives you. So my reputation isn't up to me. And so it does feel good that, people, in a sense, respect my work, the love I bring to the court, the passion we have for volleyball. It's very mutual. And I just feel like I have a home in Poland where I believe in hard work. I believe in intentional hard work, and being someone that's very loving and compassionate for my guys, always having their back. And I think it just resonates with Polish people. Polish people are so loving, trusting, welcoming, but if they have to fight, they're going to fight. And so I really love the character of Poland, and it's just happened to be a nice match.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you say that, because that was something I really wanted to ask you about, because I can tell from meeting you that you're sort of very open-minded, very sort of free-thinking, and, winning the match might not be the be-all and end-all. But with regards to Polish people in the Plus Liga, it is very physical. There's that sort of big chest-beating alpha male. Certainly, it appears that way. Is that the case? And, does your sort of approach to the game sometimes, does it ever clash, or is it just a properly good fit? And are the appearances deceiving?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. In Poland and in Brazil, right? Big alpha male. I'm the man. Give me the ball. But, so much of that is reliant upon the outcome, right? And so I give the example to younger athletes. If you start the game with 3 perfect passes, boom, 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 that fourth ball, you're like, yeah, because you're focusing on the outcome, right? You're allowing the game to develop, and however the game develops, you absorb it. What happens if you have the first 3 serves, you don't even pass it, hits off the tape, ace, hits the sideline, ace, hits the other sideline, ace, balls that you thought were out but were aces. So you start the game now with 3 aces. Well, if you were focusing so much on the outcome, how are you going to feel now? It's going to be like, ooh, I don't know. Looking to the sideline. And so, yeah, when things are going well, get excited. Like, for me, I like to get excited for my teammates more than myself, to give. And then when things aren't going well, it's back to the breath. Maybe I won't be 100% confident, focused, and clear, but can I be 95, 98, 97, rather than we just lost 25-12 and everything's like here, because I'm just focusing too much on the outcome, and it's all or nothing. Like, I'm the man, and if I'm not the man, then who am I? And so I think it's a balance. I think about it a lot. Sometimes going to the game, kind of letting my ego come out, right? Where it's like, I'm better than you. There's the other, right? And because the other isn't as good, then I'm better. So I mess around with that. But I think the biggest thing is just being present as much as I can, coming back to my breath. And so each play, it's 0-0 in that next ball mentality.
Yeah, I like
Hey,
it.
tell me I wasn't right, that this is going to be an amazing conversation.
It will be an amazing conversation. I'd always see the life of a professional as everything is competitive, and you have to be competitive to the nth degree. Otherwise, you're not going to be in the starting 6, or you're not going to go to the next championship. But it sounds, Dusty, like that's something that you've kind of had to cast aside, and what you mentioned before, in the fact that not everything is in your control. How does that affect your competitive nature?
Yeah, I think I like it a lot, because by latching on and clinging to the things that aren't completely in our control, right? So say, for example, like, I'm pushing here, and these things that are completely in my control, these can trickle over to those things that are not completely in our control, right? By by being competitive, by going for every ball, this will help go to our team winning the match or me playing well. But it's not complete. I can't step on the court and say, I'm going to play perfect. We're going to win. You know, there's other factors in play. And so rather than like holding tight to it and getting tense and angry, just release and like, okay, good play by the other team. Like now off to the next ball. Or if training block didn't go well, I didn't make the team, I go back to my ability to set goals. How can I set better goals? How can I set better intentions? How can I be more precise with my actions before practice, after practice? Can I be more purposeful outside of practice, reading, meditating? And so always recalibrating, right? And so I think the big thing is just being competitive with yourself. And our ability at the end of the day, I'm a big fan of journaling. So setting intentions in the beginning of the day, what's my purpose? And at the end of the day, recalibrating. What went well? I think it's important to say what went well, because as athletes, we're perfectionists, right? And if it wasn't perfect, it was awful. What went well? We're taking steps, right? We're taking steps. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be small, but 3 things that went well. What was the biggest test? Being honest with yourself. What did I learn from it? What do I want to improve tomorrow? What can I do differently tomorrow? So always recalibrating day after day, day after day, after day after day, and just being my best self. You know, maybe I can't be the best libero in the world, but I can be the best Dusty I can be.
That's exactly right. I was going to say the same thing, competitive with yourself and just be the best version of you. And there's nothing else anyone can ask from you or you can ask from yourself.
Let's talk USA men's national team then, because as a Brit watching international sport, that USA brand is iconic. You know, it's glamorized over here. I don't know if it's Hollywood or whatever, but we kind of look on those 3 big letters across your chest as one of the pinnacles. So how did you first find out that you were going to be selected for the senior team, and what are your memories of your first camps and your first games for the USA?
Yeah, so my journey was very long to get on the national team. The first summer I spent with the team was in 2009. We have like a B team, the Pan Am team.
Yeah.
So I was able to sneak on that team. They already had a libero chosen, but I had a really good tryout, so they took 2 liberos. And in the finals, the other libero wasn't playing that well. I came in, played well. We won the gold medal. That led to 3 more years on the Pan Am team, 3 more years of being in the USA gym, but never training. There was Rich Lambert at the time and Alfie Reft, and those were the only 2 guys on the court. It helped and hindered me that the head coach at the time was my college coach, and he told me he didn't want to play favorites, and so those are the 2 liberos, and so I waited for 4 years, just waiting, cleaning the floors, calling lines, just waiting. And then at the end of the summer, I'd play with the young team. The next squad, we had a new coach. Really excited. You know, the previous year, we won gold medal. I got best digger in that tournament. Really excited. That professional year, even though I was in the French 2 league, we did really well. I got best libero. And I got back, and the first conversation I had was, we have 3 liberos, and you're not one of them. Thank you. I was like, what? And I kind of panicked, and I was just like, can I just stay and help clean the floors and pepper? And you could tell the coach like had to go do something. He's like, yeah, if you want. Like, and so for the next 2 years, I was pretty much like a volunteer coach. I never played in drills. Everyone had we had like a whole new coaching staff, new data volley. So everyone actually had like a jersey with numbers. I was the only person that just had like a regular shirt, and same thing, just cleaning the floors, calling lines, getting reps after practice. If people didn't want to get reps, I would just bounce balls and set myself to the target. And yeah, it was just chop wood, carry water. I was just trying to get in there. I think I was making like $250 a month. That was like my salary. Maybe I'd even have a salary those months. But I just believe that with time, I'd continue to develop. And as a professional, in those 8 months, I could really develop with the intention I was bringing. So it wasn't until 2015 I made the World League roster, and Reed Pretty was traveling as a libero, and because he was hurt, but he was so hurt that he couldn't travel to the finals. And I remember watching as the head coach had a discussion with the coach that was training the other group of guys. And I was like, oh my gosh. For some reason, it was just like, he's asking who played better, like me and Alfie, the other Libero. And I was like, it was me. I played better. And I was like watching it all unfold because I was like journaling on the bench. I was like, this is happening. And then they looked over at me. I was like, oh my God, this is happening. And they're like, hey, come practice with us today. And I was, okay. And I played really well for those 2 days. And the assistant coach was like, hey, we want to bring you to Brazil. And I was just like, what? And he's like, but I don't think it's possible because, you know, you have to get a visa of 2 days. And I was like, what? And so it's like, you should probably go now. Like I was lifting. He's like, go now and try and get it. So I went to the Brazilian consulate. There was like no line and I was able to get it. And it was so funny in Brazil. I played there a year before. And so I got to Brazil. I was just like, oh, I'm in Brazil. So happy. National team. I finally made it. And it was so nice. My former Brazilian agent was there. He gave me some new, like, this is like when I was working with Mizuno, some new Mizuno shoes. And before the semifinal match, I was like, oh, what should I wear? I had these Nikes, I had Mizunos. But the Mizunos were like super like bougie, like, but they were like a size too big, like a full size too big. And I remember I was talking to Murphy Troy. I was like, what should I wear? And he's like, wear the Mizunos. I'm like, they're too big. He's like, come on, you're not going to play. And I was like, okay, I'll wear the Mizunos. So it was us against Serbia. We lose the first set. We're getting crushed the second set. Eric goes for a ball in the bleachers. The coach just like, Sprawl just like lit us up for like the effort. Like, effort's terrible. So there's a ball going in the bleachers. Eric went for it and like went down. And I was like, Eric's not getting up. Eric's not getting up. And Lotman looked at me. He's like, I think you have to go in. I was like, no. And then like, I was like, I think you got to go in. And then I always remember Spraw's like, look, he goes back to me. He's like, I have to play Dustin. And then I'm just like, and I was like, I had to go pee really bad. And I was just like thinking about it. I was like ready to go run and go pee. And I turned around and Paul grabbed my jersey. He's like, you're going in. And I think it was like 15,000 people. It was a gym where they played the Olympics at for volleyball. Like 15,000 people. And we just knocked Brazil off in a weird way by letting France win the third set. And so the Brazilians thought there was like a fix in, and the Brazilians were not having any of us. So they were just booing the entire time, throwing the birds. So I went in and I was like, whew. I think Liz Natch was like the first server. I'm like, I didn't even know who these players are. Like Serbia, and then we played Poland. I didn't know who these players were. I had no idea, you know. I was just like, whew. And I'm like, I got this. And I looked down at my feet, and I saw the Mizuno shoes on, and I was like, oh no. and like, if they had like the camera like on my eyes would be like this, like, oh no. But it was like the two best games I've ever played in my life because we ended up losing in 5. There was like a couple of really fishy calls in the 5th set. But after that Serbia game, the assistant coaches came over. They were so proud of me because they were the ones that really helped me going. Even the announcers for USA came over and they gave me hugs. They were like, wow, we can't believe like the game you play. Like, it wasn't like I was like passing like here. I was like this and like one arm here, one arm there, kicking balls, you know. It was just like if you ever watched the movie Caddyshack, you know, the guy having the best day ever. And then same thing against Poland. I just had like the best game of my career, and we won in 3. And it was just like, wow, it's like all that time spent, you know. I could have been at the beach with my friends, whatever, but I was just like in the gym for 6 years, just calling lines, wiping the floors, doing it, never really getting a chance to play. And then finally, after like 6 years, getting that World League roster as like the 3rd Libero, and finally getting a shot. And so it just felt great that like the faith and belief in myself was right. And it wasn't necessarily like I did it. It's like I was able to do it with my friends. And so that was my journey to the national team.
How much was 2005 Dustin, who was just starting out at university, like 2020 Dustin, who seems like he's very much in control of who he is and what he wants and where he's going?
Yeah, great question. So coming out of high school, I didn't really have a lot of friends. In middle school, going to high school, all my friends went here, I went there. I didn't fit in at all. I didn't fit in at all. So going into college, I was seeking, I was craving, I just wanted to feel love. I wanted to feel whole. And I grew up and was more or less conditioned by this MTV culture, right? You drink, you have muscles, you have the cool party, you'll get the friends, you'll get the girls. And so that's what I was seeking. You know, I was seeking fame, notoriety, friends, status, the love of women. And I saw a lot of that through alcohol and partying. And so I was just seeking, you know, I just didn't feel whole. I didn't feel loved. And so I'd act out. I was a little snarky. I like to say things that really didn't cause any benefit for anyone except for my own gratification, my own ego. And I just wanted to fulfill myself with regards to status, whether it was like how strong I was, how good I was, my place on the team. Was I a great player? Was I a great partier? Did women love me? And so that's who I was in college. I was just constantly seeking and looking for love by doing things that really didn't positively affect anyone except myself. In actuality, it really didn't affect me positively at all. So
I think
just
that's
a
one
lot
of the
of seeking.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why you wanted to go pro then, to sort of seek that notoriety and that fame?
I didn't even think I was good enough to play pro. You know,
Oh,
all throughout my journey, I wasn't that great. And for those people that are not familiar with the college system, I was a redshirt. I was a walk-on redshirt. I didn't get any scholarship money. My first year, I wasn't even good enough to train with the team. I was just there, kind of lifting weights. And I didn't really play my first full season until my fourth year. So I played 2 full seasons, my fourth and my fifth year. And after that, I was like, well, I'll go to a college, be a volunteer assistant, get my master's paid for, and coach, because I like coaching. I like teaching. My parents are both teachers. And my assistant coach was like, oh, you're probably good enough. We can write the national team. I was like, okay, that's cool. So I got to the national team. And like I mentioned, my first year, I made the Pan Am team. And everyone went pro after the Pan Ams. And I was like the only person to stay home with another guy who had like a bad knee. And I was just like, well, I should probably try and go pro. But I didn't get my contract that first year. And then the second year, I finally got a contract in Finland. And then from there, I was just so overwhelmed and so happy that someone put their trust in me to give me a contract that I just like worked as hard as I could to play well. But once again, you know, the fates didn't have it in my best interest to move on. I had to go back to Finland another year. And so it was a really slow grind, but it's just whatever I do, I just try to do it to my best of my ability. And then once again, if it's not that great, or even if it is great, I still try to recalibrate and see how I can be a little bit better. So it was a slow grind. My first year, I didn't get a contract. Then Finland, which is, you know, arguably one of the lowest leagues in the world. The Finland round 2, and then the French B League until I finally got my break and made it to Brazil my 5th year.
The stories of consistent perseverance is inspiring. Does that sound a little bit too eggy?
I was going to say, did there ever come a point where you thought maybe there's something else that I should be doing? Because I think it seems like you just weren't deterred by anything or anyone or any situation. You were just like, this is what I'm meant to be doing, and this is what I will end up doing, no matter what it takes.
I think just recently I've started to become more familiar with the ego, reading Eckhart Tolle's books and how the ego functions. But I think a lot of it wasn't necessarily perseverance. It's just like clinging to the status that my ego felt most comfortable with Dustin Watten, professional volleyball player, Dustin Watten, Team USA. And I didn't want to leave or let go of this status because I felt good for my ego to be someone of significance, professional volleyball player, Team USA player. And so I was just stubborn, and I didn't want to lose this feeling of kind of feeling whole, feeling loved, because I had this status as a professional volleyball player. And so I think, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you're so strong, you're so courageous. And I was like, if anything, I was just more weak, and I was just afraid to lose this title.
It sounds now like you're at the point in your life when when it is time to say goodbye to volleyball, that's something you'll accept and you'll move on to whatever the next thing is.
For sure. Yeah. This year I've had a lot of offers on different jobs. Met a really beautiful girl that makes me almost reconsider playing volleyball and maybe staying home. But for me, I think there's still some gas left in the tank. I really like the lifestyle, as I can pursue and read and meditate way more than I could in a regular job. Kind of started some side businesses, a little NEB, Noisy Buckets, and been creating some video courses online for younger kids to do. And so I just want to be able to empower the younger version of myself, right? When I was young, I started when I was 14. Most guys I play against overseas start when they're 7, maybe when they're 10. And so there's so many athletes around the world, especially in America, that love the sport so much, but you know what? They're not really sure, a little anxious. Can I make it to the next level? Do I have what it takes? I'm not from a volleyball dense region. And so I want to help them, be their guide, and help them with the mindfulness aspect, the mental aspect, emotional aspect, and then also technical, show them how I learn and help them level up much quicker. And so that's something that's been really fun to do, working with some teams on Zoom calls this summer and just being of service. And I think I can be of greater service as a professional rather than an ex-professional. And so as a competitor, I still love the challenge, you know, every day being a little bit better, learning, competing. And I don't know. I think when the time comes, I will definitely bow out graciously and feel the abundance and the glow of everything I've experienced rather than the lack of what's going forward. But also being conscious and mindful of creating my life, my future now, rather than waiting for when volleyball decides it's had enough of me.
I think it's really interesting what you say there, particularly with showing the youngsters the pathway in volleyball, because for an American, and you know this to an extent as well, Key, going through the college system there, it's different to most sports that Americans excel at, because if you think, I don't know, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, track and field, you are born in America, you go to college in America, and you stay in America throughout your career, whereas volleyball provides you with the opportunity to travel to different countries, different continents, and experience the world through necessity as much as anything, because you need to do that to get a pro contract. But that's an incredible opportunity, and it looks like you are going to attempt to help some people take those steps.
Yeah, some people really resist it. It's like a means to an end. It's like, well, to play a national team, I have to do it. There's some guys that really love it. My friend Max Holt and I talk about it a lot. It's like, how lucky are we to travel different countries, learn about different cultures, experience firsthand how people prioritize happiness. What does happiness and joy mean to them? Coming from LA, maybe it's like, and of course I'm exaggerating, but the amount of followers you have. Do you have a blue check? What movie premiere are you going to? Who are you staying with? What restaurants you're going to? What car you have? Where do you live? What parties are you going to? In Finland, for example, happiness is in the summer, you go to a sauna and detach from everything with your family. You know, Poland, you know, a lot of family time. And so there's different ways to perceive happiness, and it shouldn't just be like where I happen to be born. Those are the values and priorities that resonate with me. So traveling around the world, I've been able to absorb and let everything saturate within myself, and realizing, do I like this? Do I like that? How can I bring this wherever I want to live? And so I love this, really. I really love this about being able to travel. Of course, there's a lot of times where you're lonely, maybe even depressed, sad. But in these moments too, we learn the most about ourselves, because we're there by ourselves alone. And it's only up to us to sit with ourselves, to sit with our thoughts, and to make something out of it.
And I think the longer you do it, the longer you realize that nothing's changing back home. You're not missing out on anything by living overseas. You know, sometimes I say to the guys, they sort of say, oh, would you rather play in the States if there was a pro league there? And I don't think that I would. I think one of the best parts is the travel and the meeting, and exactly like you say, the cultures and just an experience that you could never have just staying at home your whole life. So I recommend young players, if you're thinking about doing it, don't just do it 1 year, stick it out.
Yeah, it's just difficult if you go into something. It's the people that don't make it out, it's lack and scarcity. I'm missing this, I'm missing that. Oh, it's so cold here. Rather than just
Not here in
accepting
south of
it.
France.
Yeah, rather than just accepting it and then just moving on. So I think that's it's difficult for some Americans, but I believe the national team gets the best characters at the end of the day, because we have to suffer so much being overseas away from family and friends. And so when you come back, it's like, this is what I've been working for. And you're like just firing on a different level when you come back with the boys and the national team. Same thing you kind of see with Canadians too. Not to knock on Canadians, but the Canadians don't have like the top players in the world. But when they come back together as a unit, they're stronger than almost any team.
Right, I'm well aware that you're in Hawaii and you've got surfing to do, but I am really interested to talk about the filmmaking side of things, and in particular the documentary Key, the one that really caught your eye. So what was it you loved about that documentary, Key?
Well, I wanted to ask you, I mean, I know obviously it was a film company. Did they come to you and say, hey, let's do this? Or are you guys friends already?
I got a great story.
Yeah, please do.
So as most people know, I'm a vegan athlete. And so one day I got a DM of this girl. She's kind of like a vegan influencer. And she has like a little gang, her and 2 other girls. And they have a show called The Vegan View, kind of a play off the American show, The View.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, would you like to come out to Hollywood and film an episode of The Vegan View? And I was like, absolutely, best day ever. Like, why not? So I get there, they let me in, and they're like, okay, like we have to go change, because they were just filming all day. And I'm looking around, I was like, what's going on with this equipment? I was like, this is amazing. And there's a guy in there. And so they went upstairs and changed. I was like, what's up, man? I was like, what's going on with all this? So he's like, oh, I'm one of their boyfriends. And we started talking. He went to Long Beach State too. And we just had like a really good conversation, just like a very, very cool guy. And we had a great conversation. You can find it on YouTube. We talked a lot about stoicism, how I got into plant-based, and how kind of going into plant-based nutrition was kind of the foundational shift into other things, mindfulness, meditation, stuff like that. And at the end, the girls were like, wow, like that was such a fun conversation. I was like, oh, you thought so? I was like, oh, thanks. You know, it's just like, just talking. And the guy was like, man, that was so cool. It's like, and they did the documentary for, I don't know if you guys saw it, Long Beach State Legacy. And so he was like, you know, we were looking to do a passion project. Would you like to do something? And I was just like, sure. Because like, we got off really long. I was like, man, if you ever want to grab a smoothie bowl, come over, hang out. Because his girlfriend's like, he doesn't have any vegan friends. I was like, oh, I don't have any vegan friends. Like, we can be smoothie friends. And so, yeah, we just finally got together. And it was like 2 full days of shooting. And when he sent it to me, I was just like, what? I was like, this is amazing. You guys made me look so cool. So that was just awesome. I was so lucky to do that. But anyways, yeah, what was your favorite part? So please tell me. Because
it was so
I
good.
went
The
away
whole
from
thing,
that.
no, the whole thing was so good. It was just so beautifully done. Exactly as you said.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know you, but I was like, this guy looks awesome. Just from that little 6-minute clip. And it was inspirational.
They made me look good. They made me look good.
Right. We actually, after the deep dive we've taken into enlightenment, this all seems a little bit churlish now, but we play a game called Simply the Best during these Unscripted. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm not expecting a straight answer, but I want to know what you think the best thing in each category is, okay?
Okay.
Cool. The best sport that isn't volleyball.
Basketball.
The best American athlete, sports person of all time.
Ooh, I'll say Kobe Bryant.
All right. The best music to listen to before a game. Meditation doesn't count.
I like Deep House.
The best moment of your career?
Winning that bronze medal against Poland 2015.
The best atmosphere you've ever experienced?
Ooh, I think playing in Brazil in Maringá.
The best place in the world volleyball's taken you?
Ooh, that's good. I'll say Brazil just because it was so crazy and so crazy different.
The best thing about being a pro?
Suffering by yourself.
The best food to eat after a game?
Ooh, these are some good questions. After a game, pho is for like number one, but after a game, I like my post-game smoothie. I'll pack a smoothie with me. I like that.
Okay. Best vegan smoothie?
Kale, frozen bananas, dates, cinnamon, almond butter, cucumber, pinch of ginger, a pinch of turmeric, a little black pepper, and
Sounds
almond
great.
milk.
I'll tell you what, the cucumber sent me west then, and it sent you there as well. He's like going through all these ingredients, so we were like, "Yeah, that sounds great." And then you've gone cucumber.
It was from my friend. It's from my friend. I met him in Berlin. He's a CEO of a pea milk you can get your hands on. It's amazing. But he introduced me to parsley. I'll throw in there too. Parsley and cucumber in your smoothies. Amazing. Yeah. Parsley is amazing. If you want like an energy kick, best thing ever.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I've got a bit of an axe to grind with volleyball, and we've been talking about so much other stuff. It's completely slipped my mind. I've watched many games of volleyball over the years, not nearly as much as you two, but I have never ever seen a Libero be awarded the MVP. What is that with that?
I think only Sergio, but he's the GOAT. I think there's some liberos that can do one skill really well, but not others. But I think Sergio, Zhenya, Zatorsky, those guys should get a lot more credit. Those guys are great.
All right. Well, I will watch this space, and maybe I'll get the chance to announce you as an MVP one day. But until we speak again, look after yourself, Dusty. See you, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye, Dusty. So nice to meet you.
Bye. That was Dustin Watten. What an incredible character. We've got to know so many volleyball players over the last few months through Unscripted, but absolutely nobody like him. We were actually on that call for about an hour and a half, but obviously we've got to make it a digestible size for you all, and it was so difficult choosing what to leave in and what to take out. But I think the best thing you can do to find out more about him is look up No Easy Buckets. That's his blog, that's all of the things he does online, and as he said himself, he does so much to try and help people in the game. And if you think you can help, or if you think you need his help, or if you're just interested in him, check it out. Also, we must apologise to Key Michael. She's been such a great addition to the team. If you listen to the Ace Space podcast, then you'll know that she's just a great volleyball brain. She's had a brilliant career, and now, similarly to Dustin, she's looking to give back too. But we threw her in the deep end there with somebody that she really admired, and she loves to prepare for things, and we didn't let her prepare. So sorry, Key, but I'm not really that sorry, because I think you'll all agree that it was a great show. If that is your first introduction to Unscripted, where have you been? If you've tuned in because you're an American volleyball fan, then we've got some great episodes. We've got a podcast with Jordan Larson, we've got Benjamin Patch, we've got Carly Lloyd as well. And yeah, check back through the whole catalogue. It's not just the American players. We've got 30 something of the best players in the world, unfiltered access, so get stuck in. We've also got some live Unscripteds coming up as well, so keep your eye out for those. A little twist on an old favourite, as the world has changed a lot in the past few months, so we thought we'd change with it. It's sunny in London. We don't get that very often, so I'm going to go enjoy some of that sunshine. I hope you're happy, I hope you're safe, I hope you're well. Get in touch, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.